QPR, QPR, 6 Park Rangers are on the up and up. QPR, QPR, now we're heading for European Cup.
Hello and welcome to Open All R's, the QPR podcast. I'm David Fraser. I'm joined by 3 other QPR fans. To my left, from Independent R's, is Paul Finney.
You right?
Very good, Paul. Thank you. To my right, Chris Charles from BT Sport.
Hi, how you doing?
And third time on the podcast. Third time on the podcast is Andrew Alexander, also known as Edgware Hoops on Twitter.
Good evening to you all.
Good evening. Okay, right. There's quite a lot to go through. You may well be listening. If you are listening to us for the first time, I suspect it's because you have heard that we are interviewing Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink on the podcast tonight, which we are doing. We are speaking to him in a few minutes' time, and there is a lot to talk about because we haven't had the greatest week in the history of QPR. A few questions starting to be asked. So we're hoping that's going to be a really interesting interview. Before we go on to that, we're going to have a bit of a post-mortem, for want of a better word, of the last week. But before we do that, let me remind everyone, so you can follow us on Twitter at QPR Pod. Search for us on Facebook with the QPR Podcast. And you can listen to all old episodes at our website, qprpod.co.uk. Thank you to everybody who has voted for us in the FBAs, which is the Football Blogging Awards. I think nominations are still open for another 8 or 9 days. So if you haven't already, go to our Twitter page and the pinned tweet tells you what you need to do to vote for us. Thank you. The only other thing I need to do is to give a shout out to Ian Farmer, who is in Australia, who has very kindly supported us. Hello, Ian.
Hi,
right.
Ian.
So we did some predictions at the end of the last podcast. And Paul, remind us what your predictions were for the Huddersfield, for the Newcastle game and the Huddersfield game.
That I'm stopping taking happy pills before I do a podcast. Yeah, but I'll never.
So Paul said wins against both.
Yeah, but I'll never, ever, ever, ever say we're going to lose, even if I think we will. I'm honest like that.
I agree.
Yeah, I got that wrong.
How's the last 6 days been for you, Paul?
Right. I'm glad you asked me that question. I'm relatively not happy.
Relatively not happy.
Because I'm confused to what we're allowed to get upset over now as a QPR fan. To me, I think... And
that wasn't quiet, was it?
No.
I tried to put the can under the table, but do it really surreptitiously, and it was very loud. Sorry.
And throw me completely off me sense.
You were saying you're confused about what we're allowed to be upset about.
Because you go on Twitter, and maybe it's just me, probably is, I don't know, and you say, like, worst defeat in our league defeat in our history. That's awful, that's shocking. And I'm told it's Newcastle. They're a bit like the Barcelona in the Championship. They're going to win it, they're going to walk it. Then they're going to get beat by Wolves. And I just think the difference was that, and it's not something that was said to you in the pub earlier on, it's Hasselbank's problem and everything else. I generally think the club's in danger of suffering from defeat fatigue in the fan base, because there's lots of people who sit near me who weren't there on Tuesday for that game beforehand because... maybe it's a football, I don't know what it is. These are people who would be there if it was not to kind of dag them or Redgrave, whatever. But over the last 3 or 4 years, we have had so many defeats. People are getting browned off with it, and I think we need to be really careful. We don't just...
I'm almost blaming the current manager for someone else's
well,
defeats because it feels like we're losing.
Well,
the
no,
whole time.
because at the end of the day, he picks a team, and that team was a bit bizarre against Newcastle. When I saw it, I wanted to stay in the pub. I want to do that in Huddersfield as well, but we'll talk about that in a second.
You want to do that most games, don't you?
No, but in Huddersfield, it's different because I kind of had a bad feeling about it. I mean, that's the thing. Everyone's saying it's acceptable to lose a league game. No, it frigging well isn't. It's never acceptable to lose a league game. If you're in that league, you've got to compete. You do not go out and lose 6-0. I don't give a shite how good Newcastle are. I do not want to see my team lie down, wave a white flag like that ever again. It was unacceptable, and no, I haven't taken it well.
Andrew?
Echo what Paul said, to be truthful. Newcastle was torture. Seriously, I've never felt like leaving as early as I did, and I did leave early.
Okay.
I was with
Time check, what time did everyone leave?
I left I said to my son and my friend Johnny that I didn't say if, I said when Newcastle score their 5th, I said we're going. And we went.
So
it's not that I'm disloyal, I'm not at all. I love my team, And it was torture, sitting there watching us get absolutely hammered. It wasn't fun. And ultimately you go there and you take your son there to be entertained and to see a good game of football, and it wasn't. It was horrible from the first minute.
Chris, when did you leave?
I left at the bitter end.
Me too. Habit.
Yeah, and actually found myself applauding a couple of the players
It was
off. 'cause
quite quick on the way out.
Go back a bit.
No, a couple of the players came over and almost by gut reaction, because the players should come over and whatever the result. I applauded a couple and then I got a couple of funny looks and I thought, actually, maybe that's...
Well, that's up to you. That's your choice. You've got every right to do that.
So was it just a combination of factors? Newcastle were on a very good run and we lost, but then a kind of heads dropped. Bad day at the office type thing, or is it endemic of a bigger problem?
They
took
the chances we've given to so many teams this season, but the difference is they've got the players that can punish you, in my opinion.
The thing is, we gave them so much space, and we made John Joe Shelby look like Maradona. It was just, okay, the second goal he scored was out of this world, and to be fair, that was something that a lot of the QPR fans clapped, and rightly so. That was a very good goal. But you can't let someone like that, who is a Premier League player, have that much space. I'm sure he couldn't believe his luck.
Not one booking. Not one booking.
And clearly Wolves didn't afford him that much space. The following Saturday against unbeatable Newcastle, going to romp their way to the Championship.
I'm going to call them Barca Castle now.
Yeah. I did. What was quite funny, the scoreboard I noticed stayed on 5-0 for ages. It's almost as if the bloke doing it thought, no, I just can't be bothered now. Either that or he'd already gone down the pub. But the bloke next to me said it's the first time at Loftus Road he's seen the home team playing like the away team. It said, he gave him just too much respect right from the off. I don't think it's the first time, but I know what he meant. And I don't know, they just seem so much quicker than us, and it's not the first team. That's happened with Preston, almost with Blackburn, and the sort of high tempo game that we were promised just doesn't seem to have materialised.
I don't see that high tempo game at all. I mean, they seem to be
against
wanting
Leeds, basically,
but they seem to try and play it out from the back. They get the back. Grant Hall gets the ball, and he gets the ball, plays it forward, gets played back to them. And against Newcastle, that's as far as it went. I don't think we got past the halfway line for. Well, until the 36th minute when we had a shot on goal.
And it was 39 minutes on Saturday before we had a shot.
So tell me about Saturday. Was there the reaction that you would expect?
Well, if they were angry, I would call it more of a mild fit of rage. I'm not questioning the players' commitment, whether they care or they don't care. That's for them to know, and I can only guess. But they didn't come out of the blocks firing all cylinders, if that's what you're asking me. It was. I went to Huddersfield, I found a nice pub that did gluten-free beer and tap, and I just wanted to stay there, and I was dragged to the game. Well, it's not every time you see that. It's like, and then you get there, and there's a good turnout, though. I mean, there was a good turnout of QPR fans, but there was kind of, when they scored, there was a kind of a shit, just like that. There wasn't a kind of a reaction, which in a way match you normally do, of like, come on Rangers, let's get back in this, come on, get this. It was inevitable. We knew what was going to happen. They got the second, we put one back, we went 4-4-2, we played a little bit better in the last 10 minutes, but you always knew if we got one they'd probably get another one. Defensively we're not great, we don't hang on to the ball that well, and I think Jimmy needs to address a lot of issues, because it's coming up to our annual away Fulham dubbing, and I don't think he or anyone will survive that this year on the record that we've got if it carries on. I mean, I just don't see why we can't just give it a go against games. Am I wrong? I mean, you guys tell me. I expect it when you're at home to at least have a attack before the 36th minute.
For sure.
Whoever you're playing.
Yeah.
But it just seems the system that he's playing doesn't work for that. You're playing Washington up front by himself, who's a player that needs to feed off another striker. Poulter hasn't been available the last couple of games, so who is this person? I know when Silla came on he scored. And I have to say that he looked good against the Blackburn and against Newcastle where he had two shots that hadn't not been for a great save, he would have scored. So he could have possibly been on 3 goals. I don't quite understand why he's not being played in that system.
Well, it's fair to say I think that the tail end of the second half certainly was better than the first half at Huddersfield, wasn't it, Paul? With Silla up front. But it was probably too little too late by then. And Borshak came on for, I don't know how you pronounce his name, he came on for Henry, didn't he? Who, Carl
Henry. Pronounce his name Carl.
Yeah. That was quite good for him. Give him that one. Just leave it. Don't tell him again.
I was one of the people who, when Henry was getting that ridiculous, abuse last season. I'm not in that camp at all. But it's fair to say that the last few games, he hasn't been great. And I mean, if there's any chance of passing back, then he will do. He's been anonymous, and I hope he's going to, be given a rest for a couple of games, give someone else a go.
Well, I would have kept Foden instead of him myself, personally, which I got hammered for, as usual, which is fine. But he's not shoving the words down my throat that I want him to, and I want him to stop really making me eat my words and be a better player than he's showing.
If you could make one change to the way we play, what would it be?
Attack. And play people in the right position. Yeah. David, there's so much. You could actually analyse a whole thing, and you could pick 5 or 6 things we're doing wrong in games. I mean, the Huddersfield goal, the first goal on Saturday, was just comedy defending. You know, you can't be seriously telling me you're working on that in training and then go away to Huddersfield, who are doing well, admittedly, and then defend like a drunk pub side. You know, and that's, I know that's disrespectful, and I'm sorry to players for saying that, but we're better than this.
I think the midfield should be closer to the attack, maybe. I mean, it's
who's the 2 wingers, right? Who's the 2 wingers that we're supposed to play game in, game out? Who?
Well, the only one who's looked like a proper winger to me this season is Shadipo. And then the others are just not natural wingers, so the tendency is to drift in. I mean, that was the whole thing. Newcastle played all over the pitch against us, and we were just like playing in that little bit in the middle. That's what it seemed like, anyway.
But it was like crazy. That Chapido was man of the match, I think, against Blackburn, and then he's dropped for the Newcastle game. I can only assume that maybe he's young and he can't hack 2 games so close.
I don't know about that. Maybe he was just keeping him out of the firing line. Maybe he knew what he was coming.
Perhaps they're scared of what happened to Furlong, against Sanchez. You play him too soon.
Furlong was a defender and Shapiro was a forward.
But I mean, the heads drop. If something goes wrong, the heads drop, because Furlong never recovered from that.
That's what I meant by taking him out of the firing line. I mean, just... but yeah, clearly it backfired. He was the only one giving us any width the game before.
Okay, so we're speaking to Jimmy Floyd in about 5 minutes' time, and we put it out on Twitter today that we're interviewing him, and we got a lot of reaction and a lot of questions, and we got more people than I expected saying, this guy needs to go. There are people saying this already. What do we think of that?
Well, I don't think he should go. Not yet.
It's a bit of an overreaction, isn't it?
I think so. I think if we'd lost 2-0 at home to Newcastle and then Huddersfield, there would have been a few mutterings. But I think obviously it runs deeper than that. Against Preston and Blackburn, the negative displays. It's just it's almost like, since we lost to Barnsley, he's like. We'll probably be asking him this later. If he's decided to just go ultra negative for whatever reason. But no, I mean, if we get hammered again this weekend, we go out the cup to Sunderland and then get tonked at Fulham, then that might be something that needs revisiting, because there's only so long the fans are going to put up with it. But certainly not for the moment. No.
As I said earlier on, I think, and it's not he's a product of it, is what's gone on before him, as I keep saying, the defeat fatigue syndrome, because we've lost so many home games, so many away games in the last few years. I mean, our record of Premiership was shocking. It's carried on. People, I think, have took to a level where they can't take defeats anymore, because it's just too. We're getting used to it, and it's horrible. I mean, and everyone, this is the thing where I kind of read on Twitter, and people compare teams. People come up with the Holloway team with the likes of Benacer Scar and everything else, but these guys were free transfers. They were just, you weren't paying them hundreds of thousands of pounds. They didn't have massive sign-on fees.
Yeah.
And even with any squad, you've got to have a certain degree of trying these things. Cardiff first half was rubbish. Wigan wasn't a great game, and that's what I think people are struggling with. His tactics, regardless of what he says, first half. Apart from Leeds, we haven't seen a 90-minute game where we've been full-on. It's like I said to me on Saturday, I'm waiting for the team to spark. But I've waiting for that for 3 years now.
It almost sparked on that first day of the season.
Oh, that was brilliant.
That's what he's talking about, this pressing game. And then it's sort of...
But should he be sacked?
No.
Well, the thing is, if Jimmy goes, then Les would come under pressure as well, because... It's kind of people will be looking at him as well. So
perspective, everyone. There is no way. I do not understand the calls for this guy to be sacked now. I agree with what everyone is saying. There are questions over the style of play. Why are we playing this way? Where's the pressing game gone? Why are we playing Washington up front on his own when he doesn't necessarily work into that system? I get all that. But there's a massive jump to let's sack the manager. Let's not sack the manager. Let's I've said this so many times on this podcast. Let's let him work it out. Let's let him get the team out of it.
Are we a better side now than when he took over?
No.
We were against Leeds.
You say that, but I see games where I think we would have lost and we haven't. And when we've let in fewer goals. I don't know. Maybe the Blackburn game. Maybe we'll let in more goals against Blackburn. I don't know. I'm not saying we're going. I don't know.
I mean, I'm with you. I don't think he should be sacked. I'm just saying, lose the next 3 games, including Fulham and out the cup. Then I think the fans are going to get restless.
I'm not with you on the cup. I think the cup is different. I do want to win it. I do want us to put out a full strength team, but I think you sort of have to separate that from the league form.
Yeah.
Well, defeat's defeat. Depends. Everything is. You saw about perspective. Football's here and now. Football's results.
But we are playing a Premier League side. I know they're not doing very well, but we are playing a Premier League side in the cup.
The thing is, we're at home, and when we're being at home, you do look to be winning these games. So if we lose again at home in the cup, I think people are going to start talking. I think he shouldn't be sacked. Absolutely not. Got to give him more time. But how much more time?
How much more time?
Personally, I'd give him I'd probably give him till the end of the season. Realistically, looking at the squad we've got now and the team now and the way we're playing, we're not going to get promoted. We're going to be closer to the relegation than promoted if we carry on the way we are. But you've got to give him a season. Give him a full season. Let's see what happens. It's another rebuilding season.
I would agree with that.
Is rebuilding just another substitute word of putting up with things until they get better eventually?
Well, you've got to give the manager a mandate to implement his own ideas and his team, and that is a year, isn't it? A year and a bit.
We've had all summer, and we're playing a centre midfielder as a winger, and that's progress.
But I'm not here to.
I'm not
defending him against you. But what I'm saying is, it's 7:30, and we do need to speak to him. You have to give the guy time to implement his system.
David, I'm all for giving time, but I'm telling you now, the stadium is going to get emptier and emptier and emptier.
So what do you think?
It's not a Jimmy. There's something wrong with our football club. There has to be. It can't just keep sacking manager after sacking manager after sacking manager. We have to look at the root of this. Something needs to be addressed. We're making bad choices. We're making bad decisions. I don't know, but this can't go on. We need to seriously stop, think, and actually come up with a plan and stop talking shite on Twitter and everything else about where we're going forward and then keep going backwards. We've got to stop this rot. How we do that, I don't know.
Well, let's ask someone who might be able to help us. We've discussed now for the last few minutes, and we made it clear exactly what individually, collectively we think of the current situation. Let's ask the manager himself, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink. Jimmy, thank you very much for joining us. We have to start with Newcastle. 6 days now, as we're recording it. How do you reflect on it? Was it a bad day at the office, or cause for more concern from fans?
No, I think no more concerns, but a very bad day at the office. I think everything what could have gone wrong went wrong. You know, Percy got early injured. We got a deflected goal against, and the start was bright. But as I said, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Would I have wanted to see a little bit more fight? Yes, a lot more fight, you know, in the match. And it was one of those matches that will stay with us for a long time because, as you know, we have worked very hard to not get those kind of performances, you know, so it was hard to take for the players, you know, because whatever you say, we have got a really good bunch and honest bunch who want to work and want to also put things right. So it was for them a big shock as well.
Hi, Jimmy, this is Paul Finney here. If you could turn the clock back to the start of last week, given what you know now, what would you do differently? This is a question that's been asked by a few people on Twitter and myself.
Yeah, the thing is, if I could turn back the clock, look, we had injuries. We had new people coming in. Massimo was ill, and Polter had a little injury. We could not risk him. All those kind of things were things that we couldn't change. We can't change, you know. So if you ask me, what would I change, formation-wise or players-wise? Those were the 11 that I would go with again, you know. So in that aspect, sometimes, you know, circumstances happen, you know. But the determination and getting closer to people and being more in the faces, that would definitely have been changed.
Hi Jimmy, it's Chris. How you doing?
Hi Chris, you
Hi.
okay?
Yeah, no, fine. I was going to ask, and this has also been asked by a few people on Twitter, including Richard Butler, Martin Durkin, Tommy Allen, and several others. First of all, what's happened to the high tempo football we saw against Leeds, and generally regarding tactics, that people are saying, what about playing 4-4-2, only playing one up front? Can you explain what system you're trying to play?
The high tempo, we won that high tempo. That is what was so disappointing against Newcastle, because we wanted to play on front foot. Against Preston, the team was tired, and if you see, we didn't make a lot of changes because we couldn't make a lot of changes. You know, normally if you have a 3-week game, you would put a few fresh legs in, and we could not do that. So the high tempo and the pressing is definitely something that we are trying to keep. That is not gone. The other hand of 4-4-2. Look, guys, it is one of those things. Why am I not playing 4-4-2? If at the moment, if I want to play, if I have to play 4-4-2, then Cherry is going to be on the wing, yeah, or as a wide player. Yeah, and I think he serves us more and better when he plays from the front. Now, if a team sees Cherry from the start wide, playing wide, I'll think as a manager, as a tactician, you would say to that fullback, keep on attacking him, because there he is less effective in our last third. Now, if I don't want that, then Cherry has to be out of the side, yeah? And we have just voted Cherry the best player in our squad for the month, you know, best player last month. Now, how do I take my best player of last month out of the team and go and play 4-4-2? That is just not right. You understand what I'm saying? At the moment, Cherry is playing really well, and he's playing behind the striker. It's the others that have to do more. We have to do more. You know, the formation is not the problem. And of course, later in the season, there will be matches where we will play 2 up. But at the moment, Cherry is playing well, so it's going to be with another. You know, and I think that is the right thing for the team at this moment of time, and that has nothing to do with me not wanting to play 2 up. It's me selecting the right team for the right time. And if you look at the team against Blackburn, we had 2 wide men, Cherry and a striker. That's very attacking. I think where we go on.
No, I was going to say, I think what people, I don't think people are saying you should play 4-4-2 every single game. It's just the option of maybe doing that. Like, yeah, I think you did that at Huddersfield in the second half, you know, eventually. But it's more a case, I think people are thinking that particularly Connor Washington is getting isolated up front, and whether it would be, you know, handier to have someone closer to him so that he can feed off them.
Yeah, of course. We know that, and we feel that as well. But then, as I'm saying, then you're gonna lose somewhere else. Yeah? So then you will have to say, or Cherry is going to be on the bench, or Cherry is going to be one of the wide players. Now, if Cherry is going to be one of the wide players from the start of the game, yeah, the right back or the left back who is playing against him is going to attack him. And we are going to get a lot of problems down our side. Now, or you have to say, you have to bluff and let Cherry stay as high as possible and not have to defend. But then you're playing a dangerous game, I think.
Okay.
You know?
Well, yeah. No. Absolutely. No. I was just going to say while I'm on, one of the players who isn't currently playing.
Sorry.
One of the players who isn't currently playing. I just recall you said a while back you had no problem with Sandro. Presuming he's fit to play, why hasn't he even been making the bench in our recent Championship games?
I have no problem with Sandro. Sandro is doing really well. He's knocking on the door, work-wise. But there are other people in front of him. You understand? When you have said that you want to leave and you are looking for a new club, I have to respect that. But I also have to put other people in front of him. You know, now I can have 7 substitutes, and I cannot have 3 of those central midfielders, because if I need to put a defender in or an attacker or a wide player, you know, if I put 3 central midfielders and one is Sandro, then I'm not doing my job right. You understand? So that is the case. Sandro knows. Sandro knows the deal, and Sandro knows that at this moment of time, I am treating him as all the others, and he is doing, between you and me, very well. He's doing very well, and if he keeps on going like this, he will get his chance. You know, that is how it is. You know.
Okay.
Okay. Jimmy, hi, it's Andrew here. How you doing? Surviving the questions so far. Just want to ask you, got a question here from Oliver Brett, and he wanted to know how crucial is Poulter to the way we're playing at the moment with your tactics?
I think Poulter is very crucial, but so is Washington when we serve him the way we have to serve him. You know, it's still not going as smooth as I want with Washington, and we are working really hard to get that right. So Washington is somebody who plays behind, always on the shoulder, and need to get service ASAP, and we are not doing that as quick as we need to yet. So, but Poulter is somebody who understands the pressing, who understands the reaction when we lose the ball, but also he needs to score more. We need him to be more a killer, more mean, you know. But he is progressing. He is doing well, and we need to keep on improving him. We need to keep on making him better and better. We are trying, and we are working really hard to do that. But we have another one. We have Silla, and Silla is a little bit different than Poulter. He's not as powerful as Poulter, but he does put himself in good positions, and he needs crosses. So when we will play with Silla, we will need to provide them more with crosses and balls in the box and those kind of things. So, you know, so we have 3 different strikers, and that's what we need.
So just one of those strikers, Connor Washington, hasn't yet scored a league goal for us yet. How's his confidence? Because
of course it's difficult for him, but we believe that will come. You know, when that first and second one goes in, then, you know, a striker flies, he gets wings and he starts flying. the things that Connor needs to do is just keep on going, keep on getting himself chances. I do not mind people missing chances. It is when they are not in the position to miss chances. I've been there a lot of times myself in my career. The moment that you're not going to get chances, that is the moment you need to worry. It's not when you are missing chances. So we are encouraging him to keep on knocking on that door and keep on getting those chances. And then it will happen. It will happen. It will happen. We are very positive about that, very positive.
It's Paul Finnegan, Jimmy. Nice what you said about the strikers, by the way. Hopefully they will start firing them in. But
Sorry?
hopefully the strikers will start firing all cylinders again, and that's quite good that you're talking about the confidence. And as a striker, you understand that. But I've got a question here from Adam Higgins, and it's something I was thinking about as well. Can you talk us through the process of who identifies players and who brings them into the club and who has a final say, if that's possible?
It's not. It is a group. It is Les. It is the scouts. It is the owners. It is the manager.
So it's collective.
It is a collective, and then at the end, it is a decision. Yes, he is the right one. Let's go for him. So it is a collective. At the end, I have the final say.
So basically, if you want to go and get a right back,
but if I say by myself, we're gonna go with a player, and then it's not. So it's a collective. It's a collective decision with me at the helm. At the end.
So basically, if you say to the club or those at the powers that be, I need a right back, for instance, I'm not saying that for any particular reason. They will go out and they'll give you. You'll tell them exactly who you want, and you have the final say.
They will go and give me 5 names, or 3 names, or if I have a name, I put a name forward. And then we will make the decision, the right decision.
Thanks for answering that on us. And by the way, Jimmy, thanks for apologising after Newcastle as well. That took guts, and it was nice to see someone from the club actually apologise to the fans for what actually happened. Thank you.
No, it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do.
Jimmy, let's move on from kind of recent results. You've been at the club sort of, I think, coming on for 9-10 months now. What are tell us what as fans we should be excited about on and off the pitch. Give us cause for optimism for the future of the club.
Well, definitely you have to be excited about that. We want to bring younger players through, players that have been with QPR in the youth and giving them a chance. We want to bring that back, and we also want to bring players in that value the shirt. Who really want to play for QPR and are proud to play for QPR, and we know that in the past that it has been different, So we are going into that transition at this moment of time, to get that right. We also want a younger squad, and you have seen with the signings that we have brought in that we have gone for younger. Hungry players, and we want a new kind of feeling, at the club that the fans are also involved in it, So it is more energetic and more. Younger, but also more local upbringing QPR people coming through the ranks. We have Midesh, who has played now several matches. On Wednesday, you might see a couple more. We had Kai playing in the cup, and these are players that have played a couple of matches, but have been with QPR for a while, and in the past they wouldn't have had that chance. We all know that QPR is not a big club, so we need to produce. We need to produce and try to keep the sterlings as long as possible at the club, and we sell them for 49 million instead of them going to Liverpool and we get a cut. So that's what we are trying to do. That's what Les has been trying to do.
Yeah, well, that is great to hear. That's very encouraging. I mean, you touched on the cup game tomorrow night, Wednesday night. Are you looking to play a full strength side for that? Give obviously with some of the youngsters, and how seriously are we taking this cup competition?
Well, we do want to give some youngsters an opportunity who have deserved it. Yeah, but we also want to put a strong squad out because. As strong as possible, because we're having 11,000, 12,000 tickets we have sold. So they deserve to see a strong as we can squad as well that is going to be able to challenge Sunderland. You will see some of the new boys that we have signed. Yeah, for the ones who like Sandro will feature in the match. I don't know how much, but he will feature, So, but then also the boys that have signed, would get some English minutes to get them as quick as possible, to understand the English game,
We've also had a question from Ed Willis who wants to know, what do you think is different, unique, and about Queen's Park Rangers?
What do you think is different and unique about Queen's Park Rangers?
Yeah.
What is different, very different, is the fans. They are wearing their hearts on the sleeves, if I say it well. It is very compact. I have chosen QPR. They have, first of all, I wanted to come to QPR because of the passion with the fans. Now at times that works against us, because at times when we are not playing well, they are letting it know straight away, and that's the only problem I have with it. I need them to support the boys for 96 minutes. And then after, if it has not gone right, then they need to give me the stick, not the boys. Because I do not want the boys to be afraid to play at Loftus Road. Loftus Road needs to be our force, our place where we kill oppositions with our fans. You understand? We need to make it difficult, and that's what I thought that would be, and that's what I want. So, and that will make us unique.
Excellent.
That will make us unique, and it will give the players wings.
Do you
and I think that's where we need to get better.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you think the fans will be? I think the fans. I think they were great for the first half an hour against Newcastle. It's a proper stadium, was rocking. I think it helped with the away fans and being full as well. But I think also with fans, sometimes I know winning is the most important thing, but see, entertaining. I mean, if fans are entertained, then they'll rise to the occasion a bit more.
I'm not talking about second half of Newcastle. I'm not talking about that.
No.
I'm not talking. I'm talking about the previous games.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm talking about halftime coming off against Blackburn. I'm talking about those kind of games.
Yeah.
You're not gonna win every game at the halftime or already be in front halftime. There will be games that you're gonna be 0-0, or they're gonna be games where you're gonna be 1-0 behind. At halftime. But if the place is rocking, it will give the players that extra lift that they need, and it might be the fans that is helping the players coming through to make it 2-1. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we need. That's what we need to get. That's where we need to. That will make us unique. That will make us outstanding of the others. You know, people need to know that they're going to have a difficult time coming to Loftus Road because the fans are going to be right on their back. You know, so that's what I envisioned. You know, when I was coming. You know.
Jimmy, I'll tell you this now. You beat Sunderland in the Cup. We get Chelsea in the next round. We beat them. we get Fulham away in a few weeks. We beat them, and we win at the City Ground. And you know, it will lift. Trust me. Trust me. Just those 3 little steps.
Jimmy, before you go, there's one very important question from someone called Garrow. He says you seem to often be pictured with a cuppa. What's your favourite? Tea, coffee, milk, sugar?
Green tea, boys. Green tea.
Ah,
Nice and simple. Nice and simple green tea. Doesn't make me too fat.
Tea bag in or tea bag out?
Tea bag out.
Oh, good. Well, next time come in and we promise you a cup of green tea. Jimmy,
I'll do that.
Thank you very much for coming on. I think nobody can question your integrity and kind of willingness to front up to the questions. We have asked over the years for several QPR managers to come on during quote unquote whatever you want to call it sticky patches, and they've all said no, but you said yes, and fair play to you for doing that. Explain why you did that.
Can I say why? Because I feel that we are in it together. We need to be successful. We need to be in it together. The fans need to know what we are trying to do. You know, that we want to bring the club in the right direction. I've got nothing to hide. You know, there's no secrets. I need to be open with the fans. I need the fans. The players need the fans. The fans are the most important people at the club. So why would I not confront them? Why would I not talk to them? I think that would be very silly a thing to do. You know, no, I need to communicate with the fans, and I need to also feel where the fans are so that I can give them what they need, you know. So that's what it is all about. That's why they are supporters, you know. So in that aspect, no, I will always face, you know, what I need to face as part of my job.
Jimmy, fair enough, and thank you very much, and full respect to you for that explanation. Okay. Thank you, Jimmy.
Top man.
Speak to you again soon, and thank you again for coming on.
Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, a very honest Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink.
Yeah,
I learned a few things.
Echo what you said there, and you know, about him, you know, having the gumption, from want of a better word, to come on.
Gumption, that would have been a much better word for me to use. I think he has got his principles, his football principles. He's very clear about what he wants to do, and he is going to try and see that through, I think, is the best way to put it. What I got from that was he really does see his team built around Cherry.
Just a wee bit.
I'm not 100% clear why Cherry would always have to play on the wing in a 4-4-2, but maybe I don't know enough about football.
I think he was saying that if you do 4-4-2, then there's no place for Cherry in the team.
Well,
because
can
we all
you
know
not
he's
play?
not.
No, he said you'd have to play Cherry out on the wing.
Yeah,
Why would you have to do
But
that?
then you wouldn't, because
but he
you
played
wouldn't play
the
with
wing
him.
against Blackburn.
What do you think, Paul?
That's what he said.
Did he?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Did he play on the wing?
Do you know, I watched most of that game on the midseat. The thing, I think that he's under pressure. There's no question about it, and he knows that. And he's sticking to his beliefs. We will know in May if them beliefs are worth sticking to or not. That's my fear. 16th in the league, 6-0 Dublin. You know what? I'm sick of getting beat and hammered. You know, getting beat's one thing, but we've had so many big defeats in the last 3 or 4 years, and it's not his fault, not putting it at his door, but we have. You know, we've got battered a lot, and that takes some getting over, and each one is harder. And the sad thing about Tuesdays is that everyone's seen it coming, and I find that quite sad as a QPR fan. I don't sit comfortably with that because I don't believe we should expect to get hammered by anyone at home. But yeah, I mean, good. Listen, we all want them to do well, and we all need someone to stabilise the club, and we all want them to. By the way, what he said about Sterling, it was actually the chairman that sold Sterling, and that was his decision at the time when the club was apparently in danger. But we still got 9 million quid for him. But yeah, I know what he said about 46 million, but he was never going to stay at the club because the chairman at the time was determined to get him out and get as much money as possible for him. Yeah, I don't. So, in finishing off, I don't know what to think. If I'm being honest, I really don't. I don't know how we're going to go forward from here. Hopefully,
I think now is the time to back the manager. And I always think in situations like this, we always back the manager. And I often think in situations like this, at the end of the day, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, but
he knows what he's talking about. So even if it seems a bit alien to us, let's go with it. He has got a very clear idea of what he wants to do, how he wants to play. It's not panic stations yet. I agree with you, Chris, what you said before. If we're having the same conversation after the Fulham game, then maybe we need to look at it. But let's back the manager and get behind him.
Maybe we need to look at it because if though that does pan out, that like the worst case scenario, then I think it's going to get quite ugly at Loftus Road. I think there's, people are, and that might make his position not untenable, but it might force a hand. I mean, I hope I'm totally with him. He does sound, like you say, he knows the way to play, and I'm hoping now that he's got these players up to speed, that he can now play that formation and bring these players in. I mean, Borsiuk, when he came on, seemed a lot better than the guy he replaced, you've got to look at the positives, and I think the end of that Huddersfield game we looked half decent.
At the end of the day, you've got to look at the reality. We've let 8 goals in and we've scored 1.
No, I know,
and very few managers will survive that if it keeps continuing. So we need his players need to stop backing him. What the fans do, they'll always back him, but it's the players' responsibility to start turning results around. As simple as that.
I think the players are backing him. I just don't think what he wants to do is working. And we saw when Redknapp came in, he started off, we wanted to play 3 at the back, sold Danny Simpson, and we all know what happened. And you saw straight away it was going to be a problem.
Yeah.
I don't. What I don't understand is managers is if they can see week after week it's not working, why not try something different?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we're talking at the end of the Fulham game and it hasn't improved, he does need to look at abandoning this system, changing the system. He did say at times he'll need to change. He'll need to play a different way. I hope he means that. But as we've said, fair enough and fair play to the guy for coming on.
Absolutely.
I mean, and what he said about the fans and how the fans are important to him, I think that is obvious because otherwise he wouldn't come on.
Yeah. I do. The Sandro thing is interesting, though, what he said, and I know. Yeah, so I know all the history with Sandro, and if he does play, then that's probably plays 1 game in 4 or whatever. But I do think he is, whatever you think about him, he's arguably, one of our best players on top form. And I find it quite odd that he can't even make the squad. If we've got him till January, then surely we should be trying to put him in the shop window, and.
Well, you're going to see him Wednesday.
Yes.
We are late. Right. We've already run over time, so let's go straight on to the R's end, which is anything and everything that we haven't talked about already. I'll start. 2 reasons to be cheerful, or 2 reasons to kind of make you feel a bit better about what's happened. First of all, really nice to see Charlie Austin get 3 and 2. Back in the Southampton team. I know, we have a bit of affection for... I think he's a modern-day legend, I would say. Nice to see him score. And isn't it nice to see Mark Hughes returning to being Mark Hughes at Stoke?
And
Couldn't
Joey
have
Barton
happened to a nicer guy. And
Joey Barton being Joey Barton. Sorry, I think I've got the interrupting disease tonight. I do apologise.
I think Joey's, like he tweeted a few years ago, really is a Celtic fan.
Right, the cleaner just peered over your head, Chris.
Did she?
Yes.
Okay.
To sort of say, hurry up. So, Chris.
Okay. Well, first of all, I forgot in the Sandro question. I forgot to mention there's a few other people: Farid Gargor, Simon Cashman, amongst others, who asked.
Thank you, everyone, for your questions.
Yeah, same question. Okay, I was just going to mention 3 questions which didn't make the cut. In fact, I'd have liked to ask him a lot more about different stuff. But anyway, 3 questions that didn't make the cut. This one I just thought it was quite funny. Dean M. Dyball. Why are we so shit? So I'm not sure how he would have responded to that one. Gemma, our old friend Gemma, please just tell him we don't want Barton back. And Robert Gilbert, would you rather fight 1 horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? There you go. Maybe you would have liked to answer that one. Any thoughts?
I think 1 horse-sized duck, because you got them 1 adversary. You got 1 thing to focus on rather than 100.
Yeah.
That's obvious, isn't it? It's not even a question.
Well, Paul?
I'm going to tuck it.
Very good.
Hello.
Paul, your R's. Tell us about your R's end.
Right.
And also the final things you would like to say on tonight's podcast.
I'm going to keep it pretty simple. Thank you to everyone who listens in, and please, after the Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink special, which I'm sure we've got many new people listening, please carry on. The podcast needs your support. We exist to try and ask the questions you would ask, and we try our best to do that. Hopefully we represent you the best way we can. Thank you for listening, thank you for supporting us, and hope we will carry on doing that. The other thing is, well done to every single QPR fan that went to Huddersfield on Saturday. You are a credit to your club. Thank you.
Sorry, I was swallowing a drink. Andrew.
Well, aye.
Andrew.
Just to say thank you for having me again.
That's all right.
You're always welcome.
Love
Andrew.
coming on, talking QPR.
Your son has been on this podcast.
My son, indeed, he has. In fact, he was very upset when I told him I was coming here this
Oh,
evening.
right.
But he thinks that the player's going to be here every
Does he
single
listen?
Wednesday. Absolutely.
Billy. Hello, Billy.
Sorry for swearing.
Sorry for swearing.
It's all right, I used to hear him at a game. No, we've got to keep the faith. We've got to keep him with the manager. Got to back what he says. But I think the end of the season is a time to take stock and really look at what we've got. He's on a rolling 1-year contract anyway, isn't he? I believe.
Yes, I think Lee Hu said contracts are all a bit of a nonsense. Every manager is on a rolling 1-year contract, regardless of what the length says.
Right. So I think we look at the end of the season, see where we are, and
unless you're Roberto Martinez, who got £8 million.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the only job in the world that you can actually get fired from and come out, a millionaire.
The trouble is, I'll say it quickly, take stock of the season dependent as long as you don't slip into that bottom 3.
Yes.
Predictions. Sunderland and Birmingham. Christopher.
Oh, crikey. 1-1. I'm taking my daughter along tomorrow. She's excited about going to a cup tie and glad now she missed Newcastle. So she likes penalty shootouts. I'm going to go 1-1. We take it on penalties. Birmingham, 1-0 to us.
Andrew?
I'm like Paul. I never say we're going to lose. So Sunderland, I think, will win, probably on penalties again. And Birmingham, I think, will turn it around and will beat them 2-0.
I think we'll beat Sunderland because I think Sunderland are not in a great place themselves, and I think our players are playing without pressure because there'll be a lot of young players. We're kind of expecting us to lose, and I think Birmingham we will draw. And I don't mean I really think we'll lose, but I can't say we're going to lose. I think we'll draw and get a decent draw, and it will be vastly improved. Paul.
We'll win both games 7-0 and it'll be great.
Okay, and not in Dreamland, what will we do?
I think we'll lose to Sunderland, and I think we're going to have a really tough game against Birmingham. Hopefully me saying that will put the scud on everything, and we'll win both comfortably because I'm always wrong.
I thought you said you never predicted QPR would lose.
I didn't. I said we'll have a really tough game on Saturday.
Oh, didn't you? Oh, sorry. I thought you said we'd lose to Sunderland.
Well, I did, but I didn't say hi. No, I know I did. You're right. I shouldn't say that. I think that we'll beat Sunderland and we will have a tough game on Saturday. Okay, I don't friggin' know anymore.
That'll do. Right. Thank you very much for Jimmy Floyd Hasselbaink for coming on. We really, really do appreciate that. Thank you as well for the media team at the club who helped set it up. We appreciate your support. Thank you to everyone, finally, for me to say it a second time, who's voted for us in the FBAs. Please vote for us as best podcast. Go to our Twitter handle and look at our pinned tweet, and it tells you what you need to do. Thank you, guys, for being here this evening. This has been Open All R's, the QPR podcast.
QPR, QPR, Chris Rangers.